Hello, hello, hello again, and welcome back to Lake Your Voices. We didn't really get much done in the last episode. We just kind of did a bunch of talking, a lot of preamble, a lot of getting to know the characters. We got Kit Kat, the Kit Kat bar. We got Bemele, and we got Glasses Girl, Margaret. So the guide came, and we decided to all go across the lake, and it's going to be dangerous, and someone's going to die, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this game subverts my expectations. So let's try not to get anyone killed right away. We fall into line, with the guide leading the way. Margaret stays close to him, and I behind her, watching to make sure she doesn't slip on the slick, wet wood. Bemele brings up the rear. Each of us hold our lantern in front of us, but it does little good. The fog is thick and nigh impenetrable, consuming the light as if hungry for it. Above the surface of the lake, it's deathly quiet. No longer is there the whispering wind, nor the sound of water lapping against the shore. It's our own mismatched footsteps and the sound of my quickened breathing. My eyes drift back to the lake, against my better judgment. It's no wonder there's not even a sound of water, with how still the surface is. It seems mostly sturdy, almost sturdy, with the sheen of a black marble floor. I've heard rumors of the water of Sinlos is heavier, more difficult to disturb than natural water. That just the weight of its oppressive clang is enough to keep someone down, even without them. Something even darker than the abyss of the lake flickers just below the surface, or at least I think it does. I turn my gaze to Margaret's back. It's better to stay focused.
Fall back a bit. You're following me too closely.
The guide is looking over his shoulder, addressing Margaret.
I'm sorry.
If someone gets pulled into the lake, they'll instinctively reach for anything to hold on to. Do not let that be you.
Margaret's shoulders rise, and she nods with great seriousness.
I understand. Thank you for the advice.
He ignores her gratitude. Rude?
You can speak amongst yourselves if you so choose, as long as you pay attention to where you're going. There is no worth in listening to the sounds out there.
I really like the voice acting for this game. They put a lot of effort into this.
If there's anything at all, it'll only be Nixie trying to set you on edge.
I did say that right. Nixie.
All right. Then, could you tell us your name? You didn't have a chance to properly introduce yourself, and I've only heard you being referred to as the guide.
He's kind of like the doctor.
I don't have a name.
He's the doctor. It even looks like Jodie Whittaker. It looks like Jodie Whittaker and Matt Smith had a baby. That's what that guy looks like. He's facing the front again. His voice is expressionless as before. I have no way of guessing how he feels as he says this.
Oh.
Oh. It's probably not something he wishes to talk about. However, there was something else I wanted to say, so changing the subject is not difficult.
Margaret, thank you for allowing us to join you.
Margaret shrugs non-committally.
It wasn't exactly up to me. The guide said he would take you.
She hesitates, and then she looks tentatively over her shoulder at me.
But thank you for saying that. It's appreciated.
Bemele and I will do our best to be an asset on this trip, rather than a burden.
Margaret's voice reminds me of... I don't want to say her name incorrectly because I've never actually heard anyone say it out loud. The lady that plays... Wow, I blanked on her name. Plays, Wow, I cannot believe I forgot her name that quickly. The black companion lady from Tennant's Age as Doctor Who. And she's also in that show New Amsterdam. I think it's like something Freeman. She's a British actor, I believe. Margaret's voice sounds like a lighter version of hers. I don't even want to attempt to say the lady's name because I know I'll butcher it. But I like the actress a lot. She's a very, very talented actress.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to be out here, though. Still, at least with your training, you should be able to take care of yourselves.
You know what? In the few seconds before you said that, Margaret, I was pulling for you. Now I kind of want to push you in the lake again. I admire her resilience. It's comforting to know that everyone here is so confident in their abilities. What abilities does she even have? She's a book nerd. Not enough to forget how terrible it feels to be over this lake. I am not sure if this is fortunate or unfortunate. Believing in yourself to be secure doesn't mean that you are. As the conversation lulls, a new sound breaks through. It's the whispering house. I said house, wow. It's the whispering noise again. It's the chatter of inhuman voices, and this time it's coming from all around us.
Taking care of yourself is exactly what you need to do.
The guide is speaking again, except louder, as if to cover the Nixie's voices with his own.
Work to survive at all costs, and hope that everyone around you has enough sense to do the same. That's the only way you'll make it to the other side.
So this whole game is just us trying to get to the other side of the lake, huh? Margaret nods in response, but I hear a grunt from behind me.
Groups tend to go further when they work together to achieve the same goal.
What's that saying? It's, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's what this reminded me of just now. The guide doesn't say anything in response to Bemile's grumbling either. I'm not sure whether he didn't hear Bemile or whether he just didn't feel the statements made thus far are worthy of addressing. I have a feeling it's the latter. We go around a large bend in the bridge, part of it forking off to another way. I wonder how the guide knows which of these essentially identical paths is correct when something in the corner of my eye catches my attention.
I believe I saw something over there.
Keep walking. No need to worry.
You say so. The guide's voice is calm and level. I decide against pressing the issue, not wanting to set everyone even more on edge.
What did he say?
Perhaps not wanting the conversation to be caught by the guide, I speak softly, though I couldn't quite hear him because of it. I take my eyes off Margaret ahead of me for a moment to explain it to Bemile and stop dead in my tracks. Only one word is able to escape me in my stunned state.
Behind.
Oh geez, I didn't even see that thing. Holy hell. Behind Bemile stands another figure, looming in the darkness. Seeing my face, Bemile grabs the hilt of his sword. He whips around, then staggers swiftly backwards, bumping into me and knocking me off the bridge, and we all die. Several meters away, a crooked, twisted, black figure hobbles its way towards us. Some kind of liquid drops off its head, crawling around the edges of its face. It almost looks like it's crying. Bemile backs up until he's standing beside me. The figure continues its slow advance, head jerking from one angle to another. Oh, it's got jerky, janky movements. That's always spooky. That's why contortionists can make some of the best spooks.
It's one of them.
Yes, Nixie that stumble across the bridges looking for opportunities.
The guide is standing next to us. I didn't even notice him approach. You're too busy pissing yourself.
The ones that can make it out of the water are generally referred to as prowlers.
Oh wow, so they're from the Spider-Man universe.
I had no idea things like that were out here. Is that what Kika saw down the other path?
My name is Kit Kat. The guide says nothing, instead returning to the front of the party while he gives no hex. None. He's just like, yeah, whatever, I've seen all this crap before. Let's keep moving, people. Margaret watches him pass. Her frustration morphs into nervous optimism when something seems to come to her mind.
Well, Nixie aren't slowed down much by swords, but at least the light keeps them away, right?
Margaret's hand grips her face tight, and desperation bleeds into her voice. I bite the inside of my lip.
Direct light will force it to return to the lake. However, it'll try to drag the light, or you, down with it before it goes.
Lovely. Instinctively, I reach for the hilt of my sword, despite the fact that it would do little to protect me. The prowler is getting closer, jerking forward, stopping, then resuming its slow advance.
Okay, does anyone have a light we can leave here? That way it won't follow us.
I mean, you're holding a lantern.
Only matches.
Bemile spits. He's the one bringing up the rear, so he's the one most likely to be in danger if it keeps following. The guide, however, moves forward.
Don't forget it's there, don't let your guard down, and don't get left behind.
He really is unfazed. How many times has he gone across this bridge?
What? How am I supposed to keep walking with this thing at my heels? You said it wants to attack.
What? What?
Don't give it the chance.
Bemile sputters in anger, and the guy summarily ignores him. I solidly grab hold of Bemile's upper arm.
Here, I'll lead you like this, and you can keep your focus solely on the prowler. Make sure it doesn't get too close.
Bemele eyes the guide with unresolved hostility, but allows himself to softly sigh in relief. He gazes at me with fondness. Getting
At
them
least there's
bedroom
someone
eyes.
I can count on.
Despite the fact that I'm going against his advice, the guide says nothing more. It's clear now that he doesn't give a damn what we end up doing. Some part of me is glad for that. Yeah, he doesn't give a damn at all. He's just like, for him it's like going to work for anyone in retail. It's just like you're just there. Like, you just work there. You don't really care what the customers do. You just want to get in and off your shift. That's all that is. That's all the guide is thinking about. He's ready to clock out for the night. I want to help everyone make it through, and it would be worse to have to persuade the guide every time help was necessary.
Kika, thank you.
Kit Kat. Bemele places a hand on my shoulder. I'm gonna nod seriously. Bemele's face hardens in return. He moves his free arm down. I fling his arm with mine, and now properly settled, look forward. Margaret is following the guide with some reluctance, turning back every so often to check on us. I wave my lantern to signal we're catching up. Margaret returns her head to the front and quickens her pace. With a tug on Bemele, we start to follow them. The four of us continue cautiously over the bridge, only this time the wet, squishing footsteps of the prowler join the sound of our own. The prowler walks without a set pattern, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It takes long steps, then short ones. At times, it stops walking entirely. Does it hurt to be out of the water like this, or is it trying to be difficult to read? Suddenly, the whispering in the lake grows louder. I steel myself, trying not to let it get to me. The most important thing in a situation like this is to remain calm. I can't lose my head. Then, all at once, I notice the guide and Margaret have come to a halt.
Bemele, they're stopping.
Bemele slows down as I do, and as we near Margaret's back, she says something akin to distress.
There's another one.
I tug on Bemele, and he understands. We draw up close to Margaret, ready to protect her if need be, but the guide holds out a hand. Be gone, thought!
Don't get any closer.
Just over his shoulder, I see another prowler stumbling toward us, white liquid dripping from his eyes. The guy's hand turns over in the air, palm up.
Give me a lantern. We'll throw it.
Margaret extends her own with a trembling hand when Bemele speaks instead, his back still turned.
If you have to take someone's, take mine.
Yes, an extra light won't do us much good when we're standing this close together.
Margaret takes Bemele's lantern from him, guarded relief displayed on her features.
Thank you.
She hands the lantern to the guide, whose hand grips it tightly. The lady's her first name was Freema. That's something. Her last name was the name I couldn't pronounce. Freema something. I know I just cycled back to that, but it just popped in my head.
Stay here. I can't throw it too far, or the light will blow out before it reaches the Nyx.
He steps closer to the monster, his movements light and confident. As he nears, the prowler starts to back away. Is it only approaching the light? Is it only the approaching light that's making it retreat, or are they afraid of him? A little bit of column A, column B. The guide is far enough away from us that the fog is partially obscuring him, hiding his movements. The voices from the lake grow louder and louder. Water suddenly begins to splash across the lake, in the distance, and onto the edges of the bridge. They want him to mess up. I don't notice how tense I am until Bemele eases my grasp on his arm. Then suddenly, the guide takes multiple long and fast strides forward, throws the lantern, and jumps backward to regain the lost distance. There's a sharp hiss, and then a deep splash, and the voices of the Nixie grew quieter. Not silent, but quieter. A sigh escapes me, and the guide comes back to our group.
We should keep going before it comes back.
Look how dark he is now. I glance at Bemele and realize he too is looking relieved at the guide before us. And then I see it. Oh my goodness. The first prowler, it's still there. It's right there. I shift around, pulling Bemele behind me. The prowler lunges after him, barely missing Bemele, but striking my lantern instead. The fire goes out and the two of us are plunged into an unearthly darkness. Then there's a slick splash. I realize the Nyx has returned into the water. Somehow, Bemele and I are still standing. We're still here.
Kika, thank you.
Kit Kat! I can't respond. Something cold, wet, and slimy has grabbed my ankle. I kick my leg out as fast as I can, and the Nyx hold slips. I can't pull with the momentum I've gained against it. Margaret rushes to my side, her lantern hanging out towards the Nyx. The light brushes its face. We see it for an instant, its eyes wide, and then it slides back into the smooth surface of the water. That got eventful really quickly. Bemele grabs Margaret and I both, helping us toward the center of the bridge and cussing under his breath.
I only looked away for 1 second.
It's fine, Bemele. We're all fine.
Are you actually alright?
Margaret cocks her head down, examining my ankle, but there's nothing but a wet smudge on my trousers.
I am fine.
I say that, but I don't actually want to let go of Bemele. I need to, in order to relight our lantern and provide us actual safety, but I feel such a strong desire not to be alone in this moment. I shake my head roughly and let go of him, relighting the lantern as fast as I'm able.
Kika, thank you. Again. You saved my life. I won't let this happen again.
Yes. Yes. It would be good for all of us to pay more attention.
But the guide's just like, I told y'all, I gave y'all simple instructions. Margaret nods solemnly. Suddenly, it seems like we're all on the same side. It is only Bemele and I. She is with us in more than simply presence. The guide's voice, as cold as ice, ends my train of thought.
We lost the lantern I threw. The Nyx grabbed it after the light went out.
Margaret makes a noise. I glance over, wondering whether she's upset, but there's a small smile on her face instead.
It's better than them taking anything else.
Like your wallet. A nervous laugh bubbles up out of me. Just as quickly it stops. Bemele chuckles in response and our collective tension eases up, the adrenaline draining from our bodies.
We need to keep walking.
The guide starts down the bridge again, and we join him. I try to clamp down on the relief. The ease that wants to flood my head. It's not over. The prowler is gone, but so is Bemele's lantern.
You can stay near me, Bemele, since your lantern is lost.
I appreciate it.
Margaret goes on ahead of us. Bemele stays by my side as I keep at the end of line. The breath of release from Margaret and Bemele is quickly swallowed by the somber atmosphere of Sidlos, as well replaced by the gravity of the near-death experience. Never mind celebrating his survival. Something like that should have happened in the first place. The memory of the prowlers reaching out towards us appears each time I close my eyes.
Why does it look like something's dripping down their faces?
The prowlers are on Margaret's mind too. Looking at her pained expression, it's as though the moment of relief never existed at all.
I'm not sure.
Me neither. Something's wrong with them, though.
Ask your guide boy.
They live in water. Air shouldn't be good for the things, but they want to drown humans so much they're willing to drag themselves around on land? It's not right.
Of course it isn't. They're monsters. They likely do not understand even the concept of right and wrong.
Well, I don't disagree that there's something very wrong about them. I truly hope that's the last we'll see of the Prowlers.
Something comes to her mind, causing Margaret to end her part of the conversation early.
Since you two have to share a light, wouldn't it be safer to be in the middle?
Margaret stops and waits for Bemele and I to reach her position.
That way, you'll catch the edges of my light and the guides, and it won't be so dangerous if Bemele loses his position momentarily.
That's a very kind offer, Margaret.
Bemele's surprise is so apparent, I want to cover his face with my hands to stop him from insulting her. She merely smirks. I think Margaret may be surprised with herself too. Bemele returns to his usual surety.
As thoughtful as it is, I, at least, am fine with bringing up the rear. I'm used to keeping watch for monsters, and since there are two of us, I can pay attention to the back while Kika focuses ahead. It's not my light, though, so I shouldn't be the one to decide what she should do with it.
Margaret and Bemele turn to look at me in unison. Seems like it's my decision. Neither of them are wrong. As for me, my goal is to protect everyone. can't very well do that with Margaret following behind us. But being stuck in the middle of the group could also be dangerous depending on what circumstances we come across. Getting pincered by the enemy would be an almost sure death, no matter how experienced Emily and I are. I just don't know what to expect from this bridge. Hell, neither do I. And that makes things so much more difficult.
So you're staying behind?
Seems like it.
Yes, I think we'll be good here. But really, thank you. That was a very kind offer.
Well, alright.
Margaret respects our decision and trots ahead a bit to catch back up with the guide. He who has paid no mind to the entire affair. We're gonna save here. We're gonna call it an episode here. This is actually a pretty interesting episode too. Like I said last time, I'm still invested in this game. I want to see how this goes. We might end up playing through this whole thing. We're gonna do a third episode, and we'll decide next time what we're gonna do with this series. If it's gonna become a full series on its own, or if we're just gonna move on to the next Steam game. I mean, there's gonna be other Steam games, but for now, if you like what you've seen so far, and you're looking forward to seeing more and seeing how this plays out, hit that like and subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon so you can get notifications in the future when stuff goes up. I've been Saturn Cycle. You guys have been awesome along with this game, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Later!